The essay I have picked out is called The Socialists' Setbacks. March 21st, 1897. This is from the complete works of Errico Malatesta. I read from it, various essays from it regularly if you're new to the stream. And just to be clear to the people of AK Press, I'm not reading the whole book. I've picked out various essays because hopefully it'll inspire people to go out and buy the complete works of Errico Malatesta. This is volume 3. They also have volume 4 out. It's ultimately going to be a 10-part volume, a 10-part complete works. But they put out 3 and 4 so far. This is part 3. Again, this is The Socialist Setbacks, translated from, I'm not going to say that, but March 21st, 1897. And it reads as such. Having learned from the past and from events that play out day after day before our very eyes, we are more convinced now than ever that it is not parliaments, but the proletariat alone that has the wherewithal and the requisite capabilities to resolve the social problems that have the close of this century in turmoil. And the opening of this one, right? Anyway. When Leibniz said that the socialist speeches could have no influence on legislation, unquote, and that words cannot convert parliament, he encapsulated our whole thinking in a few words. English labor history, the manly history of an entire class extracting labor laws one at a time by means of violent street demonstrations, shows in fact that only deeds can convert capitalists and rulers. There is no shortage of examples of this powerlessness on the part of socialist deputies. Not many days ago, the socialists tabled 3 motions before the French Parliament, asking in the first of these that work be found for the unemployed, in the second for a few laws in favor of the working classes, and in the last, the concession whereby workers might be included among those charged with looking into the blight of unemployment. Welcome, M.R. Red. The socialist deputies spoke eloquently, and the chamber voted that chatter is just chatter. Now, on to the second example. According to a motion from the Belgian socialist deputies, inspectors assigned to monitor the mines should be directly elected by the workers through universal suffrage. Obviously, the proposal could hardly have been any more logical and fair. But the industrialists and factory owners who sit in the chamber or have their representatives there do not like others sticking their noses into their business. So the chamber rejected the motion that Vandervelt had backed with a splendid address. Now, on to the third, and for now, last example. We are now in Germany this time. Small wonder, therefore, that the representatives of the social democracy thought that they were strong enough to ask outright for the 8-hour workday. In the wake of these setbacks, which depended as the Avanti correspondent gloomily stated on the fact that, quote, all the parties, bourgeois, conservative, Catholic, nationalist, liberal, and even extreme radicals came together, setting their internecine feuds aside for the time being. Let me state that again. Setting their internecine feuds aside for the time being to vote against the socialists' motion. Imagine that. It would be logical if the incorrigible worshippers of parliamentary action were to conclude once and for all that their efforts are in vain and that their time, ingenuity, influence, activity, and money need to be spent exclusively among the proletariat, to which the ruling classes would cave in and grant that which they withhold in Parliament. But that is merely wishful thinking on our part. We will hear the response that if only there were 100, 200, 300 deputies instead of a negligible minority, they would be within reach of what? Let's imagine, writes Wilhelm Liebknecht in Situazione Politica, pages 11 and 12, quote, that the dream of some socialist visionary were to be realized that there was a social democratic majority in Parliament. What would happen? Behold the Rubicon, crossed. At long last, the yearned for moment to reform society and the state has arrived. Already the majority is contemplating doing something grand, something that may leave an indelible imprint on history in that solemn hour. A new era is about to dawn. Oh, fear not. None of it will come to pass. Instead, a company of soldiers were turned up to shoo the majority away, and should those gentlemen not comply immediately, it would require only a few policemen to show them the quickest route to prison, where they would have all the time they might need to meditate on their bragging. Revolutions not made with government permission. The socialist ideal cannot be achieved within the compass of the present state, which will have to be done away with before a newborn feature sees the light of day. Down with the worshippers of universal suffrage. Unquote. After these words from the socialist pontiff, enough said. Okay, fam. Like I said, welcome, MR Red. That was the Socialists' Setbacks by Errico Malatesta from 1897. You know what I gather from that is something that I think you see borne out in reality every day in Congress, in American Congress. Like, so you got the squad, right? And not that they're socialist, because they're not even at all. But they're the closest, they're the ones that butt up against it. They're the only ones, that group of, I don't know, I guess it's like 10 of them now, that are considered, quote unquote, the squad. And they're up against everybody. Just like Malatesta would the nationalists, the conservatives, the this, the that, the that, the that. They all lined up against the socialists that he was talking about. And even though, again, the squad isn't necessarily socialist, so just the closest thing we have to it, all the other, of course the Republicans are against them. Like, Republicans know the name Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez better than liberals do. I guarantee it, because they're incessant about her on on One American News Network, on Newsmax, on Fox. They constant perpetual demonization of her and attached to the word the squad. So they despise all that. And they think that that's the worst version ever of communism, right? So they're against him. But of course, from the start, as much as AOC and others kind of kiss Pelosi's ass, she's been positioned firmly against them. Oh, hey, Shan, welcome. And so, yes, I mean, it's a clear as day, and the media and so many others line up against what they're even trying. So imagine if we got in there with actual social anarchist or communist or truly revolutionary socialist positions. Pfft, what a waste of our effort, man. What a waste of our effort. And how much do you gotta just really appreciate Errico Malatesta? I do. I do have some records queued up. Oh, I was going to put this other video in so that we could have something to look at while I play records. That's not just my mug. Got to do that. Is that rolling? Yes, it is. So we're going to check this out. Let this song play out, and I got another track queued up.